Alrighty, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be doing some detective work. So if some of you caught my video yesterday going through some of the listings on the upcoming prop store auction, you know, we had like Superman stuff, we had Michael Myers stuff, we had Goosebumps stuff, but there were two listings that revolved around A Nightmare on Elm Street. And I thought they were the only listings in the entire auction. We had a partial stunt mask from A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and we had the famous or infamous prop TV with Freddy and the mechanical hands from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. But one listing had slipped by me, and we're going to be taking a look at it today because it's supposedly an unknown piece from an unknown Elm Street film. But we're going to do our detective work, put our detective hats on. I don't have a detective hat, so this is the closest thing I have to a detective hat. Tips fedora. So we're going to do our detective work and try and figure out and get to the bottom and identify this particular bust, which makeup, which Elm Street this bust comes from. So let's take a look at this listing. Again, it completely slipped past me, but by the end of this video, we're going to figure it the fuck out. So here's the piece here. Again, completely slipped by me. Again, thought there were only two listings. So we have A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise 1984 to present, which I've never seen with a listing before. Planet Hollywood Collection set of production-made Freddy Krueger Robert Englund makeup appliances on a Robert Englund bust. So the estimate is currently between 1,000 and 2,000 USD, starting bid 500, current absentee, one bid with 1,000 USD. So let's take a look at the description. Bit of an interesting one, but also very vague at the same time. Krueger's original burn look was brought to life by special effects makeup artist David B. Miller. The burns changed slightly over the course of Krueger's many appearances throughout the franchise. This set of makeup appliances was created for an unknown Elm Street production and never finished. It includes foam latex face, neck, and shoulder skin pieces dressed on a foam bust or boast, okay, it's a bit of a typo there, of Englund. Due to age and use, the foam latex has deteriorated significantly with extensive cracking and loss of material throughout the appliances, most visibly around the neck and the back of the head. The bust also exhibits flaking and cracking, and then we have the dimensions. So let's check out the photos of this piece. This is a crispy looking piece. So we've got the front there. So this is the photo we're going to be predominantly using because you can tell already the makeup has fallen off quite a lot. It is dried up, it's rotted away. It's just the nature of foam latex if it's not properly stored and in a climate controlled area. And this is a very rough piece. I mean, look at how much exposed life cast there is. We've just got like a partial face, we've got neck. If we go around the back here, you can see how much has come off the back of the head as well. Even on the traps, it is insane. I've never seen a piece like this so deteriorated. So let's go back to the main photo we're going to use. We're going to zoom in. So our main point of reference is going to be this ear, the left ear, and also this area here, because we have some very distinct markings. There's a lot of wrinkles here, there's an open wound, and there's a very deformed ear. So what we're going to do is process of elimination. So we're going to start off with the Elm Street 1 makeup, and it's an instant dismissal. Why? Because you look at Robert's left ear, and they're actually utilizing his full-blown left ear in the makeup, whereas this one is covered up, it's more deformed. Moving along to part 2, Freddy's Revenge, Kevin Yeager's makeup. We've got the transition from David Miller to Kevin Yeager. Now looking at the ear on the part 2 makeup, it could be a possible match, but the thing is, the part 2 makeup is very subtle. We have a lot of wrinkles going on here, a lot of age, a lot of weathering. So part 2 is an instant dismissal. Then moving on to part 3, where the makeup sort of stays similar structure-wise to part 2, but it's a lot more refined, a lot more sharper, and then eventually part 4, it gets even more detailed. But going back to part 3, taking a look at some areas, and again, going back to that ear, it is a very similar application and design and sculpture when it comes to the burn detail. Again, looking at the wrinkles on this deteriorated bust, they do not match up, from what I can see anyway, to the part 3 makeup. Now moving on to the part 4 makeup, you think, okay, we've got some wrinkling going on here, you know, a bit more weathering, but a bit more detail. Much like this bust, even though it is deteriorated then some, we still see a lot of detail going on here. Matching that ear up once again, taking a look at it, comparing the pairs side by side, whilst it looks close, this isn't a match. Now we get to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, the Dream Child. So these are some behind the scenes photos I grabbed from Nightmare on Elm Street Films.com, which is a great reference point for Elm Street stuff, whether it be glove reference, makeup reference. So this time around, David Miller returned to do the makeup on Freddy. He was tasked with making Freddy a lot more weathered, aged, and looking like a droopy, saggy, melted candle / old man. Taking a look at the wrinkles in this behind the scenes photo of David Miller touching up Robert's makeup appliances, notice the wrinkles under the right eye and the cheek. Very interesting and very similar to this particular bust. Now also, let's take a look at this. I guess you could call it an almond-esque like burn. To me, this looks like an almond you'd get at the grocery store in a bag of almonds. So this is a dead-on match to this particular burn detail right here on Robert's left cheek. And finally, let's take a look at that left ear application. Let's take a look at the design and the sculpture work, and let's really try and marry up those lines. So we have this top line here that marries up to this top line here, and then we have this area here, line there, and a very kind of flat edge burn on the ear here, and it looks like a winner. It looks like a match and a half. Even going down to the chin detail here, these little pitted burns on the underside of the chin here, on the bottom lip, those details are on the part 5 makeup. Even this little divot here, this kind of deep pepperoni pizza-esque burn, that is also on the part 5 makeup. And with that, I think we have a clear winner. This makeup is from A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Whether or not David Miller did this as a test or it was a spare piece lying around that he just wanted to put together, or this was particularly made for Planet Hollywood. So the next step now is I'm actually going to contact Prop Store and be like, hey guys, this is actually from A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Because whoever's bidding on this and whoever ultimately gets it, they have a right to know the history of it and what exact Elm Street film it's from. I'm also going to send photos to David Miller and just see what he thinks of it, but from what I can see, it is a clear winner that this is from A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Looking at Freddy's Dead, whilst the makeup is very similar, it's nowhere near as detailed and wrinkled as the Elm Street 5 makeup. Now, looking at this price point, you know, between 1 to 2,000 USD, which equates to this in AUD, is it worth it with the buyer's premium, sales tax, and then shipping? Probably not. Like, this is a rough piece. It is going to break down more over time. You can try your absolute best to have it kind of preserved by, say, like your Tom Spinner and stuff like that. But price point wise, I don't think it's worth it at all. Unfortunately, this thing just seems too far gone. Again, there are techniques and things you can do to preserve it and essentially stop it. But at the same time, you've lost so much of that original makeup appliance that the illusion and the mystique of it being Freddy is essentially lost. Still an interesting piece nonetheless. It looks like a Picasso. So there you go, guys. I thought it'd just be a fun little video to do some detective work and figure out what this makeup appliance was from in terms of which Elm Street. Hell, it could have been around from the Freddy's Nightmare years because they used the Part 4 and Part 5 makeup appliances. I will send these photos to David Miller, see what he thinks, get a bit of background, but in the meantime, I'm also going to contact Prop Store and get them to update that listing because again, whoever gets this, they have an absolute right to know. But hope you got a Jones and now this, guys. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.